have a question. What is your favorite song and how do you connect with it? Is it when you fell in love or through something really difficult? I'm your host, Tiffany Mason. Now join me as I interview others and we take a walk down memory lane with them. Let's get lost in why that music matters to them. Turn up your radio and let's explore Memories with a Beat. Hello, Podcast Land. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Memories with a Beat. And today I'm super excited for you guys to meet my guest, Carly Lyon. Welcome to the podcast, Carly.
Thank you, Tiffany. I'm so excited to talk to you today.
Yes, I'm super excited because I feel like you just have like your hands and a little bit of everything. And I want to explore your brain a little bit. You're very much like my husband, who is very like analytical and thoughtful and really thinks things through. And I guess I find that like inspiring or very interesting because I'm kind of a hot mess and like, I just kind of blow where the wind takes me and throw crap at the wall and hope some stuff sticks and, a little bit more careless, which I think is probably why I'm with my husband because we balance each other out and probably why I find you so interesting because, you're just the opposite. So that's one of the best things about my podcast is I get to learn about all different types of people. If you wouldn't mind, Carly, can you let my audience know just like where you are and what you're currently doing?
Sure. So I live in Georgia. I'm right outside of Atlanta in the burbs. We moved there because I got a teaching job there, full-time teaching art. I'm originally from Athens and went to school there. Was very influenced by the history of the music coming from there and the artists that currently and do live there. And I have been teaching art full-time for the past 11 years. Also trying to make and sell art at the same time. I've been involved with music my whole life, but never kind of a focus. I always felt like visual art was a little bit more safe for me. And I'm to the point now where I'm ready to do things that are a little bit more risky and put me in a little bit more of a vulnerable position as an artist. And I also have realized that I need more of a balance between teaching and art making because teaching art and making art is a very different process for me. And a lot of my own teaching is inspired and informed by my visual art and music process. So I feel like I just left my full-time teaching position and I feel like this next kind of step in my journey as an artist is going to be fueled by my interests and also kind of how I want to connect with the people in my community. And so here I am.
Yes. Well, I'm so excited to like cheer you on this journey. I think it's so exciting. I mean, and honestly, to quit a full-time job and dive into all this stuff really puts you in a vulnerable spot. So, cheers to you. I mean, I know that that's a big step that you're taking out in faith and going, okay, here we go. So I think that that's awesome and very inspiring. I know that you said that you were from the Athens, Atlanta area. Now, I don't really know the geography of Georgia. So are they close to each other?
Sort of. It's about an hour and a half from where I live.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And so all of my family still lives there. So we take that drive a lot. I have taken it in the past.
Okay. So I'm curious, do you have formal training in music? Because I know that you have the formal training from art. Did that overlap? Did you have a minor? Or is it stuff that you've kind of just learned over time? Did you sing in high school? I mean, how did it all come together for you, Carly?
So I started taking piano lessons when I was about 6. And my Aunt Mary is a really amazing singer. And I remember her teaching me some of the basics. And I was able to, at a pretty young age, match the sounds that I was hearing from the piano to vocals. And I always sang, but I wasn't emotionally mature enough to sing in front of people at that age. I was very introverted, very, very shy, but I loved music, loved it. And I took piano lessons all through elementary school, middle school, and I stopped maybe midway through high school. And then my Aunt Charlotte gave me her guitar, which I took to college with me. And I tried to I taught myself a little bit of guitar and I had some friends that I would play with. and I had my keyboard with me. I took my keyboard to grad school, and I actually met a friend who really influenced me and encouraged me to sing. And I ended up going through a ceramics department program, but really, really wanted to do music, which was really frustrating for my professors and for me too, because I did, and I do love ceramics. I do love visual art, but there's always been something in me that has always wanted to use my voice and use sound to kind of complement my art. I started doing open mics in my early 20s, then, started teaching full time, had two kiddos, and then just got to the point where it was like too much to stand. I just got to the point where I was like, I need music in my life more
Mm,
than I need other things. So I started. My aunt gave me the piano that I first touched when I was a little girl, and I'd
mm,
had a keyboard up until then. But when I got that piano into my house, I was maybe in my early to mid 30s. Just the moment I touched it, like I remembered how I felt the first time I touched a piano. It was like my soul
mhm,
was the sound of the piano, and like we understood each other. And since that piano came into my house, I just reconnected with it. I started taking piano lessons again, took with a really great guy. His name is James DeVoe.
mhm,
He's a local musician in Atlanta. There's a school called School of Rock near where I live. It's a bunch of just really great musicians that also teach kids. They do teach adults, but it's mostly a program for kids. And that was kind of where I was at that time. I was kind of restarting over with the piano, but with a lot more maturity and intelligence and meaning behind kind of where I was coming from as an artist. And I started just putting stuff out on social media, just as like, hey, I haven't done this in a long time and you're going to listen to it. And it was bumpy, and it was, some of it's bad, some of it I listened to and I kind of cringe. But at that point, I kind of had an attitude of, I'm going to do this and I'm going to share it with people. And I don't care if it's not perfect. And I think that the benefit of me doing it will help people see that this is, something that you can do no matter how old you are. And then started taking vocal lessons with Nina Tollins. She lives in New York City. She's in Harlem there. Traditionally went to jazz school, so she's got a lot of knowledge about jazz vocals. And she really kind of helped me understand where sound is in different parts of my head and throat, and kind of stretch that. And I feel like I still have a lot more to learn. So I'm really excited to be working with her and just having the time to think about what I want to do with it.
I think that's one thing that I'm always so jealous of when we do have our mastermind is that you talk so much about like thinking and reflecting, and I don't give myself enough time to do that. And I wish, I'm so jealous
Mm,
of the time to think, to just think. Today I sat down, I was outside, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to give myself an hour to just think.
mm,
And would you believe my dog ran away? So my friend calls me and she's like, hey, your dog's over here. I'm like, oh, crap. So I go get the dog. Then she's a good friend. So we chat for half an hour. And so then I get back. I'm like, okay, still have a half hour. I'm just going to think. And then my son, who it's his birthday today,
aw.
he's turning 21. And you can't not answer the phone of your son. And he
No,
was
I saw
really
that
excited about something. And
on.
so he was just telling me all the details. And I was like, okay, well, no thinking time today. Maybe we'll try again tomorrow.
That happens to me too, though. That definitely, it's hard to be in complete control when you've got other people in your life,
Yeah,
and
yeah, very true.
not always.
Very true. Well, I love to sing along and I can carry a few notes for a short amount of time. But I think that that's what makes me so envious of you people with just these amazing, beautiful voices is that, you guys can hold it for a while. But I think that's interesting that you brought up that she's helping you to find music, where it is in your body. And I think sometimes when you're trying to sing along with somebody, you have to kind of match that or hit that same headspace that they maybe were in
Mm,
when they were singing it or connect with it. So I'm so excited to dive into this song. I can't even stand it because, and I hope that this is a compliment, um, but I connect with some of it. But I like these songs that are a little bit like, huh. I wonder what all that stuff means,
Mm.
right? So it's such a beautiful song. Love every ounce aspect of it.
Here's to the years we spent in Georgia. Here's to the laughter and the pain. The money never followed us like the sunshine and the rain. The children and the muddy rivers tattooed through our veins.
But I'm kind of
Now we
excited to dig into the
see
lyrics because I know I had asked you, you know, when it comes to songs, do you connect more with the music aspect or the lyrics? And you had said the lyrics.
Mhm.
So let's dive into it. Why don't you tell my audience the name of it, maybe like the year you wrote it, and what was kind of going through your mind, or how it has come to be a full song for you?
Sure. It's called Home. And I wrote it actually, it was right at the beginning of the pandemic.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not sure if that's just a coincidence or not. I just remember that it being kind of a time where there was a lot of newness going on.
hmm So I love that it's like all this. I think I'm gonna make this an explicit episode because all I can think of is it's kind of like a mind fuck. Like I want to get in your
here's
brain.
to
Yeah.
I
the
want to know
friends we
what
made
these
in
sentences mean
Georgia.
together.
Here's to the scattered and the weak, the bulletproof, the hungry, the travelers on their feet, the sinners looked like angels shackled by the time we meet.
So
Now we
Yeah.
let me
see
in.
So this was a song that came really easily to me, like it was a no-brainer. It was
Mm,
like it was screaming through the back of my head.
mm-hmm.
And I just sat down and wrote it pretty quickly, and I didn't overthink it. So it was right maybe a couple of days after I found out that my sister was getting a divorce.
Okay.
So I've always had a connection. I'm the oldest of four. I've always had a connection with my sister as far as kind of her emotional state. I've always kind of been able to sense and feel, even if we're not in
Mm,
the same place. And so part of me was thinking about like how she must be feeling, letting go, thinking that life was going to
mm,
be a certain way, and it's not at all, and
mm-hmm.
how I could support her in that way. But
Mm,
I was also kind of going through that same thing too. I'll be real with you, with my own family, um,
mm-hmm.
thinking that my relationship with them was going to be or should be a certain way, and it just not being at all. And
Mm-hmm.
kind of getting to a point where I needed to accept that what I want and who I am doesn't necessarily need to be validated by my family. Um, I went through like a year and a half through the whole pandemic where I didn't see them. I didn't speak to them.
Wow, that's a huge revelation.
It was huge. I didn't have my family at all.
Jeepers.
Yeah, and that's kind of a side story too, but it was a lot of like wanting to appreciate everything that they have given me, but
Mm-hmm.
also wanting to let go, as well, and kind of find my own path. So some of the lyrics kind of came through this realization that, here's to the laughter and the pain. I have to kind of look at all of the positive memories and the negative memories and kind
Mm-hmm.
of come to that same conclusion that I'm grateful for that. I've got to kind of let the past go by meeting it with both appreciation and the pain at the same time to kind of level them out.
Have you ever heard the expression, the reason that there's a reason why the windshield to your car is so wide and the rear view mirror is so small?
Oh, no, I like
That's
that.
what it's making me think of, you know? I mean, it is so hard to let go of those disappointments of the past. And
Yeah.
just say, okay, we had some good times and they were there for this, that, and the other. And I wish it would have been different, but it wasn't. And that's a hard thing to do, just to accept it.
I think so, and I
Mm-hmm.
think it was a kind of a wish for everybody in my family.
Mm.
We've had some trauma here and there, and I've always hit it head on. I've always gone, okay, let's write this out. Let's get therapy. Let's talk about it.
Yep.
Let's learn about it. I've always really been interested in psychology. Um, so for me, it's always been very much like I want to deal with it, but I know that everybody has their own process of dealing with things. And when you see someone that you love that's not dealing, but you still want to connect with them, it's hard to find where you guys can connect, knowing that some people are healed and some people are unhealed.
Amen.
Am I being vague? I might be being a little vague.
No, I think that anybody could, you know, I have a girlfriend that really appreciates the advice that I give to her is, and I have to give it to myself just about daily,
Mm-hmm.
is to remind myself that everybody does not react to a situation the same way that I do.
Yeah.
And that's a really hard pill for me to swallow because I too am a very direct person, Carly. I'm an 8 on the Enneagram, so I'm the challenger. And I just want to like be direct. Let's hash it out and then let's move on.
Yeah.
Like let's just be an adult about it. But some people that's just not their coping style, and it's a really hard pill to swallow. So I can appreciate where you're trying to find that balance and that happy medium, and it's just a hard balance to strike.
So I guess like looking at the chorus, I guess that also kind of goes to the, looking behind, looking forward. Now we seem to find that better days are behind. The path we took was winding, still we're underneath the pines.
Now we seem to find that better days are behind. The path we took was winding, still we're underneath the pines. Here's to the dreaming and drinks we'll never pour.
And that's also kind of, connecting to other literature and things that connect Georgia with the pines and the, muddy rivers. And even like the way that I say Georgia, like here's to the years we spent in Georgia, kind of reminding of Georgia on My Mind, how he says, Georgia, Georgia. And so here's to the years we spent in Georgia, or Georgia, or he's leaving on that midnight train to Georgia, leaving on that midnight
Yes.
train. They're all kind of connected, right? You hear it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm trying to make these references to other, songs, or even like Midnight Train to Georgia, the way that the word is said to kind of carry it forward, but also connect to the past.
I think that's so clever. I love when an artist will allude to another artist. So I think that that is so
Hmm.
such good craftsmanship that you're pulling these similar lines of other singers. And I love that when you're listening to a song, you're like, wait, that kind of sounded like,
Hmm.
what did that sound like? And then the song continues and you forget. But I love that. I think that's awesome, Carly.
They're all kind of connected, right? You hear it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I definitely do. I definitely do. Yes. Okay. Are there any other spots in the song where you did that?
Um, I think just making connections to things that are really familiar, like, the money never followed us like the sunshine and the rain, the children in the muddy rivers tattooed through our veins. Those are kind of really visceral kind of
Mm,
images. Um, and also to think about like my sister's life. She married somebody that is in the film industry, and they, kind of struggled to make it and find their way. Um, And I think a lot of people can relate to that, finding somebody that they want to spend their life with, but, struggling to make it, but still appreciating the sunshine and the rain, things that are in their daily lives that they can appreciate, even though they might not have, the dream yet, the money. They might have the children and, you know,
So I'm a Christian. One of the things that is a common thread in a lot of Christian music is praising God through the storm. Just knowing that things may not
Mm,
be perfect, but maybe it's for the better. Like everyone says, everything happens for a reason. It's kind of the same idea in my Christian eyes,
mhm,
that everything happens for a reason. And a lot of people also say it's about the journey, it's not about the destination, even though the destination was different than
mhm.
expected.
Yeah, and I think also just thinking about, the line in the chorus, "Here's to the dreaming and the drinks will never pour. Home is just a moment like we've never lived before." And that over time has meant different things to me. When I first wrote it, I was thinking, all of the things, all of the milestones that you think you're going to have, and toasting to that, all the dreaming, knowing that that's not going to happen, can also kind of parallel with letting go of expectations that maybe other people have of you in
Mm,
order to kind of step into who you are. And also, I was at the point where I was thinking about, honestly, alcoholism. And I was at a point where I was really ready to stop drinking,
mm-hmm.
and thinking about that also kind of as, a parallel to giving something up to have to, in order to get something else. So I really feel like it could mean a lot of things. It means, something to me specifically, but I think, doesn't have to mean that for somebody else. Like it could be, I feel like that line could be taken in a lot of different ways. Don't you think?
And I, not knowing the background to it, I thought maybe you had lost somebody.
Mm,
And so I was like, oh, yeah, that's cool. Here's to the drinks we'll never pour.
I did
I mean,
lose
that made
somebody.
sense.
I lost the part of me that was really using that as a coping mechanism, and really kind
Mm.
of
Oh, sure.
using that to avoid kind of my emotions and things, that I didn't want to deal with. It's so easy just to drink. There's always a reason to drink. And I love
Yeah.
to party. I love it. Like I'm a party person and I still can
Yeah.
do that. But just kind of knowing my limits and just choosing to start to kind of really make choices that are going to get me where I want to be in my life.
Yep.
But also, like I'm not judging people at all. It's just kind of growing up to a point where I need to kind of accept that those things are not going to happen in the way that I thought they were going to happen, and that's okay.
Yep. Yep. I hear you. I hear you. I recently, well, I have, okay. So my husband knows that I am the same way. I love to party as well. I always call it shaking the crazies out. It's about twice a year where I will like just kind of no holds bar,
Mhm.
whatever happens, happens. I mean, within reason. And the next day is probably a crap hole for me. I'm probably not doing anything. But I think so. I had a whole bunch of friends get together, and I was like, oh, okay, I need girls' night. I just miss my friends so much.
Mhm.
All life is so busy, and so we went out, and I really, when I left, I was like, all right, I'm going to get tanked, blah, blah, blah. And then when I got into it, I was like, I don't really want,
Mm.
I think I'm okay with not being that person anymore.
Mhm.
So, I can appreciate that too. I mean, I still like to have a drink, but I don't know if I'm wild and crazy as I used to be.
Mhm.
I'm always going to be crazy because if you know me, I'm just kind of crazy.
Yeah, well,
But
I mean, that's okay. If you
yeah,
that's who you are, doesn't you don't need to, make apologies for that. Absolutely.
nope. If you're an entrepreneur like me, I know that you have a lot of hats that you have to wear. But guess what? I have really good news. I've just found a system. I call it the No More system. Why do I call it that? Well, no more wondering if someone looked at your proposal, no more worrying about checking messages on multiple platforms, no longer having to check back with a prospect and see if they need to reschedule, no more worrying about the prospects that ghosted you. There's an automation for that. There are tags and segmentations that will update a contact's record when they say open an email or whatever. It's amazing. No more worrying about updating your pipeline. No more, I've got to make sure to send this person information. No more to a lot of things. So I call it the No More system, even though the actual name is Follow Up Speed. Follow Up Speed as a CRM, an automated follow-up team. You can run a promotion, a course, a membership. It can even be your website, all rolled into one quote-unquote hub, if you will. It's seemingly endless, all of the different pipelines clients can go through with Follow Up Speed. Best part, it's at their speed. I just want to share one more thing, which is my favorite current automation. If a client or listener texts one of my keywords, sure, I can have an automation in place, or I can reply as myself. And that's who they've invested in, correct? Us, the business owner. I hope you can see your day-to-day being simplified and your business growing as a result. Check out Follow Up Speed now by texting details to 904-560-5597. And of course, it'll be in the show notes. Now, back to the show. Nope, I'm unapologetic about the crazy piece of me. My son was when he called me, he was saying how the ladies that he dates, they're kind of goofy, and they always laugh, and they keep him feeling young.
Uh,
He's 21, so take it easy, Preston. But I was like, it's because you're trying to find someone like your
oh, what did he say?
mom. He's like, yeah, you're probably right.
Oh,
So, and I think that that's probably what my husband appreciates about me, but I appreciate about him
mhm.
is, his analytical side, his serious side, his let's, keep our eye on the bobber kind of idea, and I think that you kind of mirror that a little bit too. But
Mhm.
I think I take one look at you and I know you got a little wild side underneath you.
Oh,
Yeah, Carly's got like the coolest vibe. She's got like the pink hair, so it's like the faux mohawk. And I'm gonna post on the blog show notes. You'll see a picture of her, and she's beautiful anyway.
oh,
But on top of her beauty, she has like just this fun,
little edge.
look to her. And then, yeah, yeah. And then just some of the things that she's created. I know that you do. I guess you're calling it visual art. Do you call the jewelry visual art too? I don't know
Yeah,
the lingo.
so I guess like as an art teacher, I was responsible for teaching a lot through a lot of different mediums.
Yep.
And so I've kind of started thinking about visual art just as like any process where the outcome, exists.
It's tangible.
Yeah, like somehow in a visual vessel, I guess. But
Mm-hmm.
more specifically, that's just an umbrella, and then there are different genres within genres within genres. So, if I was speaking to somebody like directly about wanting to sell jewelry, I would just say, "Hey, I want to market my leather jewelry," or "Hey, I would love to market my live plant artwork," or you know what I mean? So I guess what I'm saying, like there's a time to be general and then there's a time to be specific depending on the context.
Sure.
Just because I do make a lot of different stuff, and sometimes it's not really like it doesn't have a name. It's just a funky
Visual art.
made. You know what I mean? I went through days where I was decorating skeletons for a while and like putting jewels on them and feathers and stuff. I mean, like, what is that? I don't know,
Yeah.
but it was just a phase.
Yeah, yeah. I can imagine you've had a lot of different phases. I would love to see like an
Yes,
album of just all the things that you've done because
that's
I
true.
know. Yeah.
And I really enjoy bringing people into that too. I think that's what I love about teaching. I've had some girls' nights, some craft nights in
Hmm.
my studio at home, and that gives me a lot because it combines, hanging out with kind of a purpose, and I also kind of get to nurture people that I know in a way that kind of boosts their confidence, their creative confidence. um, because I do think creativity is a really important part of connecting with yourself and being human. And um, I don't think a lot of people have that in their lives.
I agree.
And sometimes it's because they're afraid of making a mistake in front of people, and to get that barrier down and push it away and then see that person really enjoy the creative process is really joyful for me. So
I recently connected you with my friend Robbie, and he was on the podcast prior to. I just fell in love with you even more when, I think that he had said something about, oh, I don't really know what he said. I'm so sorry, but I know that your reply was, that was something that you enjoyed so much is just looking out and being able to see people enjoy your music, but not even just enjoy it, but like start with like, okay, what's this lady gonna sing? And then you start to sing it, and you said that you can see a transformation in their face,
mhm.
and I think that that's got to be insanely rewarding. But
Yeah,
also, I think I would sit there singing and think like, what journey am I taking them on?
yeah.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to know exactly what's going on in their
Hmm.
mind. And
Mhm.
especially somebody doesn't know me personally or any of the
Right.
backstory, what they're thinking through, what they're feeling, or
Mhm.
how they're processing their own emotions might be helpful for me to understand, but I don't know if it's necessary to know every single person's reaction. But I do know that like so much music throughout my life has kind of shaped how I was processing something at that time, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. Well, I think it's so interesting when somebody hears a song, and through all of my interviews, I've had one reaction to a song, and then they've had a different reaction, and it's really based on our life experiences, how we
Yeah.
process that song. So I just think that that's super interesting. And I think just to get into people's minds and know what they thought and, how it made them feel. And I don't know. I just think that that would be a really cool, because I know that you can't speak to all of them, but to some extent you can see on their faces, like, oh, they're really enjoying it, or oops, I brought them somewhere kind of painful,
Yeah.
or, like that kind of thing. I
Yep.
think that that would be just interesting and rewarding.
Mhm. And I think too, for me, the next challenge is knowing when I'm writing something from a place where I'm processing something versus knowing where I want to end up going with a song and
Mm,
having the end goal in mind, which is a different process. Like if I'm trying to, like, much like a therapist, somebody that is working with somebody to guide them through, different parts of the therapy process, how music could, with sound and emotion and words, intentionally guide someone to a better place. Um,
mm-hmm.
and those two are different processes for me versus like if I'm sitting down and I'm playing the piano and I'm like, ooh, there's a really good chord change, and ooh, I'm hearing this. I'm not really thinking about my audience. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So
Sure.
I
Yep.
guess that's kind of where I want to challenge myself to be able to be flexible with how I write music and have
Hmm.
different ways, like some that's therapeutic for me, and then some where I'm intentionally thinking about my listener. And that we've talked about that a lot in the mastermind. So,
Hmm.
like
Yep.
an ideal client, that word would be more like an ideal listener.
Yeah. Yep. I don't know. Very impressed with the whole process. I'm impressed with being able to come up with the lyrics and have them just so beautifully go together. And it made me very introspective and very thoughtful and like, okay, how could this be coming together? It's just so beautiful. So like just to be able to sing the song, period, is just like, I don't know, I'm just so
Thank
jealous.
you. And I need to let myself just take that in instead of going, okay, well, it was beautiful, but I got to get to the next song, or, I got to do better. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it's
Yeah.
good to just wake up that day and just say, you know what? If I die today, it's enough. I did enough. I'm okay with myself. You know what I mean?
Tiffany Mason is my fan, so I'm
Yes.
okay.
Yeah. Like what is that? Why do I need everyone to like it? Like the fact that I reach somebody and connect with them. Why would I want more than that? You know? So,
I think it's good just to always push ourselves and always be striving for more and,
yeah.
just longing or yearning for that impact that you want to make. I think that there's nothing wrong with that either. I think, again, balance.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything more that you want to add about the song, Carly?
I guess I hope that you guys enjoy it. And I did make a video. It's very, amateur as far as the editing goes, but I was seeing a lot of like connecting clay because that was something that I did as a child. I would dig in the creek and I knew how to find which mud was clay and which wasn't. And I
Mm,
was making things and singing, so there's this connection. There's like this innocent connection between this song and connecting with that special place that was
The
authentic as a child.
rain
And
never followed us like the sunshine and the rain. The children and the muddy rivers tattooed through our veins. Now we seem to
doing, the
find
body paint with the clay that
that
I,
better
changed. And so
time.
I hope that people can get some sort of meaning behind that they connect to, even if it's not kind of where I was coming from. So I guess that's.
Well, I thought it was super awesome too. Just how artistic that video was. I mean, that like is straight out of an artist's brain because I would never come up with that in a million years. But I thought that was really super cool. Well, in wrapping up, why don't you let us know where we can find your music? Also, maybe like what you're working on,
Okay.
what we could expect.
Yeah. Okay. So I do have a website, www.redhivestudio.com, where I have a little bit of information about me as an art teacher, as a visual artist, and then I'm also putting music videos on it. And the next thing for me is to do a couple of different booking options. So I would love to work towards a short to a long set, and I would love to sing for people in my community. I really enjoy reconnecting with people I haven't seen in a while. And also I really want to continue writing music and getting out there. I have a lot of songs I've written, and my vocal coach has kind of been helping me think through some of the arrangements. I'm going to be recording a couple of those soon and putting those on YouTube.
Yay!
If you just look up Carly Lyon, I think that's it. My goal is to write, record, perform, and keep making things that are somewhat therapeutic, enjoyable, kind of relaxing for me.
Yeah, that's so awesome. I know what I was going to say is if you were performing, like, if you had a permanent gig on like Friday lunch, I'd be there. Friday
Yeah.
lunch, I'd be there.
Yeah.
She is so good, you guys. If you get a chance to check her out, I would strongly encourage you to do so. I will have links in the show notes to link to the Red Hive Studio and her song that she shared with us today, Home, that you've heard throughout the episode. And of course, if you connected with, Carly and I, what we were speaking about and her song and how she created it and came up with it, I would love for you to, comment, leave a review, tag me on Instagram or whatever. Carly, thank you so much for your time today. And thank you for sharing your original music. Cause I know that can be, I know you're trying to put yourself in a vulnerable spot. And that's exactly what that does when you share it with me. And then now I'm going to share it with my podcast audience. So I sincerely appreciate that.
Thank you, Tiffany. I appreciate you listening.
Yes, no problem at all. Everyone else, I hope that this episode was music to your ears.
Thanks to the wine, thanks to the fathers that never had the time. Will I take tomorrow? Will I take today to walk among the living, wash away the clay? Here's to the plans we made in Georgia. Here's to the ones we'll never keep. The melodies, the lessons that we're going to repeat. Will I then feel satisfaction when I'm finally free? Here's to the dreaming and the drinks we'll never pour. Home is just a moment like we've never lived before. Never lived before.
Well, that was fun, wasn't it? You never know what rabbit holes we'll get to go down and explore. Were you reminded of anything? Or anyone? Share what it was with me in a review. Honestly, the reviews don't do me any favors other than knowing people like you are listening to this podcast. Insert cheesy wink. However, the ratings do help, so leave me 5 stars. You know you wanna. This podcast was produced by Virtual You, supporting you in all things podcasting. To connect or check me out on social media, I know you're just gonna stalk me. But see the show notes, as always, for details. Can't wait to dive into my next guest's memories with a beat. Hit subscribe now. You don't want to miss the next episode.